Imagine being squeezed in the middle of modern traffic. The heat, horns blaring everywhere, and a layout as messy as spilt instant noodles. At a time like this, your logic asks, why can't the city be more orderly? Interestingly, thousands of years ago, our ancestors solved this without the help of computers or GPS. They built cities like Mohenjo-Daro, Rome, or Babylon with a highly logical blueprint to fight one great enemy: chaos. Stop thinking that ancient cities were just a collection of randomly built huts. Systemically, a city is a giant machine where thousands of humans interact. If this machine lacks structure, then in just 1 week, disease, hunger, and riots would destroy everything. The ancient laws we discussed in the previous episode are the software. Now we will dissect the hardware, which is the physical elements of urban planning. Welcome to Arc Chaos and Order, in the segment The Foundation of Order. In this second episode, we will dismantle 7 architectural secrets of ancient cities designed to suppress chaos. We will see how every wall, ditch, and building block has a logical reason to keep civilization standing. Prepare your critical logic. Let's explore this infrastructure of the past. Defensive walls, the security and border protocol. You walk toward the gate of an ancient city, and the first thing that makes you feel small is the giant wall surrounding it. In that era, defensive walls weren't just fences, they were symbols of sovereignty. From a security logic, these walls are filters. They distinguish between insiders, protected by law, and outsiders, considered threats or unregistered in the system. These walls dictate the inhabitants' mentality. Inside here is safe, outside there is danger. Besides repelling enemy attacks, walls also functioned as economic controls. You couldn't just enter with goods without passing the main gate where ancient tax officers were already waiting. Walls are the most physical way to create a boundary between order and wild chaos. Without walls, a city is just a collection of tents easily swept by the wind or looted by raiders overnight. Central market, the energy/money circulation protocol. Once you pass the gate, your navigation logic will lead you to the busiest point, the central market. This is the heart of the city machine. Why are markets always placed in easily accessible locations? Because the market is where social energy, in the form of money, goods, and information, flows. Systemically, the central market is a tool for maintaining peace. The logic of peace through trade is very sound. You won't want to kill the person selling the wheat you need tomorrow morning. Markets bind people of different backgrounds to agree on one thing: profit. The market also becomes an information hub. You know there's a war at the border or a change of kings, usually from market gossip. By gathering all economic activity at one point, city rulers could more easily monitor scales, collect taxes, and ensure there were no black markets disrupted price stability. The market is a circulation protocol that keeps citizens' stomachs full and conflict suppressed through transactions. Drainage system, the systemic health protocol. Now look down at your feet as you walk through Mohenjo-Daro 4,500 years ago. You'd be surprised to see neat, covered drains along the road. The drainage system is the urban planning element most often ignored, yet it's the most vital. Ancient public health logic was very sharp. They knew that if human waste and sewage were allowed to pile up in the streets, biological chaos in the form of plague would wipe out the city faster than enemy forces. A drainage system is the city's way of disposing of data trash or biological waste so it doesn't clog the system of life. A city with good drainage is a city with forward-thinking logic. They realize that building grand structures is easy, but managing what comes out of the citizens' stomachs is the true challenge. Without drainage, your grand city would just be a giant, foul-smelling, and deadly pool of waste. Grid pattern, the navigation standardization protocol. You look ahead and see straight streets intersecting at right angles to form perfect squares. This is the grid pattern. Why didn't they make aesthetically winding roads? Because from an efficiency logic, a straight line is the shortest distance between 2 points. The grid pattern is a form of standardization. It makes it easier for rulers to divide land, assign addresses, and most importantly, mobilize troops. If there's a riot in Block C, security forces don't need to circle through a labyrinth. They just run straight. The grid pattern also ensures that sunlight and airflow are distributed fairly to all houses. This is how ancient cities defragmented space so that no hidden slums existed. You're forced to live in a geometric order that subconsciously dictates your brain to also think orderly and obey the coordinate system. Sacred center, the moral anchor and identity. In the midst of all the hustle and bustle of the markets and streets, there's always one tallest and grandest building, a temple, ziggurats, or central place of worship. This is the sacred center. From a social logic, this isn't just about religion, but about a moral center of gravity. Every machine needs an anchor so it doesn't wobble. This sacred center provides the same narrative to all citizens. We all submit to the same authority, God or deity. This is the most effective way to unite thousands of strangers without using force. When you see a tall temple tower, your logic is reminded that there's a great power watching your behavior. The sacred center is the hub of collective memory. Grand ceremonies are held here, political promises are made here. This element locks your identity. You're not just a resident of Block B, but part of a grand system blessed by the heavens. This is how urban planning locks mass loyalty through spiritual architecture. Residential zoning, the social classification protocol. Then you enter a residential area and realize that the houses here have similar types within one area. This is residential zoning, or the division of residential zones. From a classification logic, ancient city rulers understood that mixing all castes in one block risked triggering social jealousy and conflict. Craftsmen gathered with craftsmen, merchants with merchants, and nobles with nobles. Not that it wasn't democratic, but it was about functional efficiency. If all blacksmiths gathered in one zone, the delivery of raw materials, coal or iron, became easier, and the noise pollution didn't disturb other residential areas. This zoning dictates how you interact. You know where to go if you need shoes, and you know how to behave when entering a noble zone. This is how urban planning creates folders for every social function so that the machinery of civilization doesn't experience errors from overlapping data. Public square, the feedback and mass control protocol. Finally, you reach a vast open field in front of a government building or temple. This is the public square. Why would a ruler leave such a large piece of land empty when it could be built into commercial shops? Because the square is a safety valve. From a mass communication logic, rulers need a place to gather the people to hear important announcements, celebrate victories, or simply let people vent collectively. The square is the place where horizontal interaction between citizens occurs. Here, social pressure can be released. If the people are angry, they gather here. If they're happy, they party here. By providing public space, urban planning is actually giving a monitoring tool to the ruler to see the mood of the people. The square is the element that ensures order doesn't turn into an explosion of anger that could trigger chaos. It's the smartest space for both democracy and control. So, what's the common thread of these 7 ancient urban planning elements? Logically, a city is a human effort to win the war against the law of entropy. The law of entropy says that everything tends to get messy if left alone. Well, urban planning is our way of fighting back so that the lives of thousands of people don't fall apart. These 7 elements work like computer hardware. The walls are the casing, the market is the power supply, the drainage is the cooling system, and the square is the interface. If one of these elements breaks, the civilization will immediately experience a system crash and return to chaos. We often feel our modern cities are very sophisticated, but if we look closer, we still use the same logic as the people in Babylon or Rome. We still need boundaries, an economic hub, sanitation, and space to gather. Urban planning teaches us that order is not a coincidence, but the result of a design that is cold, logical, and highly calculating of human behavior. Thank you for watching till the end. If you like how we explain complex things to make them make more sense, don't forget to follow Synoptic. We will continue to discuss many everyday things that are actually fascinating as long as they're explained the right way. Synoptic, the world simplified, one thought at a time.